here's my 1997 Honda Civic 4-door. I'm gonna tell you all the upgrades that it has on it. It has a spoon front lip, first generation front lip. It's a factory paint. Type R front bumper, Type R front grille. Stoptech 329 millimeter front rotors and Stoptech 4-piston calipers. It has Volk, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Transcenda, that's what they're called. 17 by 8.5 all around, plus 35 in the front and plus 40 in the rear. I had to go with plus 35 in the front to even clear the brake caliper. As you could see, I mean, look how close that is to the caliper. Yeah, it's pretty close. The build was just recently completed, not too long ago. And I mean, I love the fitment on the wheels. Oh, and then the wheels are also wrapped in Bridgestone RE71Rs. And they're also brand new. I mean, the car again was just recently completed, not too long ago. It has a Mugen rear wing I found in Thailand. The wing was silver. I had it sanded down. I painted it jet black. Yeah, you can kind of see the fitment on the wheels on the car. It's Type R mirrors. On the rear of the car has a spoon and one muffler. And I had to actually cut the muffler and actually custom fit it to the car because when I purchased the muffler brand new, I had purchased it for a hatchback, and at the time I couldn't get one for a 4-door, so I just purchased it anyways. And I had to modify it to fit the car. It has ASR rear subframe brace, ASR sway bar, ASR aluminum brace for the sway bar, ASR spherical rear end links. The coilovers are JICs. I forgot the model number, but these got discontinued almost 12 years ago. It's full aluminum body, aluminum housing. The whole thing's aluminum top hats. And I actually bought it from John, the owner of JIC, which was off his race car. It was never driven. It was just mounted, and it was on his EG. So the only thing they had to change to fit this car is the bottom shim. Everything else is pretty much the same. The rear, it has a GSR disc brake conversion. On the muffler's 2.5 all the way through. Let's see here. Type R cluster. Has pretty low kilometers on it. It has a Honda OEM CD player and OMP special edition steering wheel. Has a ASR hub and a spacer, 2mm spacer on it. Has pole position Recaro seats. And they're brand new. I mean, the whole setup's brand new, as you can see. I mean, there's not a mark or any type of wear on the seats at all. NSX Type R shift knob, ASR shifter relocator. I had to use this, so whenever you go shift to first, third, or fifth, it just, as you could tell, it would my fingers will hit the dashboard. So if you can use a factory shifter box, definitely get this upgrade for the shifter box, because I mean, you could see where it positions the shifters. It's like perfect whenever you sit in the driver's seat. I didn't mount the shifter in the bottom because I don't like the way it feels. It's like you gotta dig low to shift. The way I have it positioned is high, like all my old Hondas that I built, just so whenever you go shift and the position of the actual shifter it's perfect. Much easier to shift, and it's more convenient because it's like right next to the steering wheel as well. OMP pedals, body club, rails on both sides, obviously. And the interior is pretty clean. Let me open it first. Oh, I'm the third owner of the vehicle, actually. As you can tell, the whole interior is in the car. I haven't removed anything on it. Power windows, power doors. And let's see here. I'll pop that for you guys real quick. And I'll also show you the suspension conversion in the front, because it has a lot of cool features on this car, like I said. The front suspension has a full 2000 SI conversion. The lower control arms have spherical bushings on them. As you can see, they're brand new. 2000 SI, again, these are all brand new purchased from dealer. 2000 SI sway bar, 2000 SI bushings, end links. What else? Oh, it has a real R Crew header on it. Even the rear bushing kit, everything's from a 2000 SI. So the whole front suspension is brand new. And then the undercarriage is like super clean. Like even the jack points, there's not a bend on any side of the vehicle. Again, it's the original paint, original headlights. Let me see here. Let's see what's been done underneath the hood. Oh, and another cool feature about the car, all the VIN tags on the vehicle is there. On the door panels, everywhere, the trunk. So all the original panels are still in the car. It has a 2004 RSX Type R motor with very low miles on it. And the way I did the wiring, I didn't want to tuck any of the wires. I made them to where the car looks like a factory. It looks like the motor belonged in this car. I mean, to me, like I'm very picky about all the details. I mean, like all the lines, everything. I wanted to route it to where it looked like it came like like this from the factory. A fuel pressure regulator, a fuel pressure gauge. This intake is pretty cool too. As you see, it has a coupler here you could compress, but when you go down to the middle, you cannot compress it. So what I did was a cool thing to control the air intake temps on this that I did myself is see the 2-piece coupler. Actually, there's just 4 pieces to it. There's this top piece, center piece, and in the center piece I got a vibrant 3-inch real thin aluminum tube, so it doesn't affect the size of the actual diameter when it connects to this coupler. So it's 3-inch all the way, so that's why you can't compress it. So, and the air intake temps, they don't go over 105. They usually stay around 95. Depending on how cold it is, they'll even drop more. And the intake is actually inside the wheel well. So there's another coupler down there that actually goes here. It twists up and connects to another pipe. Then it connects to the actual AM air filter. A billet aluminum radiator overflow. Hasport mounts. I mean, I wouldn't use any other brand. I've always used Hasports on all my projects, and there's nothing to complain about. Hasport products. Hasport axles. Here's the R Crew header. Ultra Racing top shock tower brace, which is actually different than the chassis brace. I know people tend to confuse them. This is a triangle piece that connects to the firewall and the shock, and then the chassis brace actually goes from the top of the chassis to the other section of the chassis. This is a Type R chassis brace. Has a billet aluminum Moroso catch can. I mean, I looked at a lot of different products, but the way this thing's built is pretty cool. A CNC machine. I mean, it has little baffles inside, and that's the drain for the aluminum oil separator, and it's easy to remove and pull out and drain the oil. And this is the way I routed it from the intake back into the actual which creates the most suction out of the motor, which runs back into the block. So the block vacuum sucks back into the catch can, collects all the oil, and lets air go back into the intake instead of oil going back into the intake. And I'm sure you guys know oil retains a lot of heat, which could cause detonation if it goes on top of the piston too. Factory Type R manifold. The motor's never been taken apart. Everything's all original. The only thing I modified myself is the manifold. I mean, it's the throttle body. It's a company in Indonesia that builds road race. They build a lot of road race motors, and they build really nice manifolds. And they have one of the best throttle bodies for these motors. It's called S9076. And these, unlike a lot of other companies, these throttle bodies, the actual plate never sticks. I've never had an issue with it or anything. And transmission is completely stock. I mean, the only thing that's been done to this is the Speed Factory, the spring kit that goes inside the transmission and the shifter assembly, which makes a huge difference. It's cheap, and I highly suggest people doing this mod. What else has been done to it? Let's see here. Oh, it has a Exedy Hyper Single clutch. The clutch that was in the vehicle was actually still the original factory clutch that hadn't been replaced yet. So I mean, that tells you how low a mileage this motor has as well. Here you can see it's an R crew header. Yeah, again, this motor was super clean. I was lucky enough to get a hold of this motor. And then I mean, again, little details. I put this rubber coupling on the actual upper bolt, so it doesn't affect the fuel line going back in there, because I know if it rubs in there over time, this thing could cause it to leak. No AC, no power steering, and there's a K-tuned. Whenever you remove the power steering, you got to get this actual piece to take its place. It's pretty much a tensioner. That's all it does. It puts tension on the belt. What else has been done to it? Let's see. Oh, CFR radiator. It's a big core radiator. As you can see how close it is to everything. I mean, look how close it is to the alternator. That's one reason why I couldn't run AC on this vehicle. But I mean, the motor stays very cool. As a SPAL, I don't know if you can see it. It's a SPAL radiator fan. Let me think. And it has a lot of upgrades on it. I mean, the basics, the fuel filter, everything. It has a Walboro 255 inlet fuel pump. It still has a factory injectors. The injectors haven't been modified yet. I mean, I love this thing. I posted it up to sell it, but I'm having like second doubts about it because it's such a new build, and the car has zero issues. Oh, and I'm using, I don't know if I already said, I'm using Hasport axles on this too, which, I mean, Brian and Keith, if you ever have any issues or any problems, all you do is shoot them an email or give them a contact. Their customer service is just, it's amazing. Anytime I needed anything, Keith always helped me out. But yeah, that's the car. Oh, let me show you the trunk. Oh, another cool feature this car has too. It has this little cool adapter. As you can see, it connects to your iPhone. And whenever you connect this to your iPhone, you could actually do the adjustments. I mean, whenever you go through the music, everything, you could control your phone from this factory head unit. It connects to the actual CD changer. And I know that got discontinued also a long time ago. Has upgraded speakers on it. And Hasport JDM rear brace. And one of the reasons why I went with the Hasport JDM brace, because the inner tube, the way it's structured too, it's not the actual outer housing only. In the center of the tube, there's another brace that goes along inside. So it's one of the best braces you could buy. I wouldn't recommend any other company. I mean, even from the factory or any aftermarket, none of them built the rear brace like the Hasport JDM ones. They're very good. The JBL speaker upgrades, and you could see even the speaker wires. I didn't cut them. I had On Amazon, I found this wire cable you could connect to the factory actual wires without cutting them. Even the front speakers are the same way. It's a lot of fun to drive. I mean, if you're into Hondas and you've driven one before with the proper setup, I mean, you know how it feels. It's you can't compare it to any other vehicle. I've built multiple Hondas. I've built 3 S2000s. I've had a CTSV that was fully built, made a lot of power. I've had a 2017 GT350. I've had a 2015 Camaro ZL1. I'm sorry, not a ZL1, Z28. Had like 400 miles on it. I mean, I've had a bunch of cars. Again, like the experience of driving these cars, you just can't compare it because everything's all mechanical. There's no driver assistance or nothing. No traction control, no nothing. Let's start the car real quick. And the car was tuned by my friend that owns Do a Dyno. My buddy Bubba, he's a close friend of mine, but I mean, this guy's been into the Honda industry. Not a lot of people know about him too much, but and the people that do know how much knowledge this guy has. I mean, he took his time and made sure my car drove like nobody had ever touched anything on it. It drives very smooth. I mean, throughout the whole power range, the car is very smooth. Oh, it has a check sport, horn delete as well on it. What else? Yeah, this thing does not smoke. I mean, the reason why there's a little bit of black smoke on the rear bumper, it's safer to tune the car a little rich than risking it running it lean, because at any point if the car goes in, the car motor goes lean, when the car runs lean, the cylinder temp goes up a lot more than if the car ran a little bit rich. Soaking the pistons with fuel a little bit, it does help reduce detonation, and it does help reduce cylinder temps also. But yeah, see, it doesn't smoke, nothing. The motor's very, very clean. And yeah, that's the whole build. But yeah, I mean, I put in time and I put in a lot of effort to put this car together. So, all right, thank you guys for watching.